Beard Wizard family. Welcome to Beard Wizard Rants. I'm your host, Beard Wizard Man, also known as Trevor on social media. Links to all of which you can find in the video description below, including some links related to what we're going to talk about today. So this is a live show where I just talk about things that are on my mind, usually one topic that bothers me or something that I would normally have written an article about on the old website or might have done a piece on, or an opinion piece or an essay. But I've taken so much of my stuff to video format. This feels like the right format for this. So I can talk in real time. I can get my thoughts out there. It's live. It's going to be rough. That's the point. What are we talking about today? We're going to talk about AI art. Yeah, it's been around for a while. It has been a thing. But it has really started to gain traction and popularity as the programs and algorithms and all that stuff have improved. People have found ways to use it, to monetize it, and it's started to come out too that more and more artists are realizing that their art has been used to train these tools. Not tools. Programs, computer programs, to create products, to create images, which will ultimately compete against them on the market without their permission, without their compensation, and without their credit. That's the important part right there. But before we get too far into this, I just want to lay out my thought. I want to make sure you guys know exactly where I'm coming from, that there is no question about bias or how I feel, or whether I want you to know right out of the gate how I feel about this. AI art is theft. It is currently, in its current state, the way it is operating, it is theft. It is taking products, taking art, taking things that artists produce, using it to train a computer program to output images to compete against them for profit. Now, last time I checked, when you take something from somebody else for your own profit, that's theft. And we're going to talk about the differences between fan art and AI, and we're going to talk about all that stuff. But before we go any further, we're going to lay a very hard fact on everybody. And also, I want to credit the artist. This image was shown to me. And we're going to talk more about why this image is important, but this is by Veronica Kozlova. It's on ArtStation. It's available to view and look at that there. There's a link to this piece in the video description below. This right here represents how a lot of us feel about this. But most importantly, art. The definition of art. The Oxford Dictionary defines art as the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form, such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. There's two key things in there. Human creative skill. Art is not something that's produced by a machine or a computer program. Art is produced by a human who has creative skill and uses that creative skill with the intent to evoke an emotional reaction. It requires human interaction, human creative skill, and intent. Computer program cannot have intent. The difference between an artist and, like somebody brought up earlier, and a gorilla painting. Sure, gorillas, elephants, chimpanzees, all kinds of animals have been taught how to use a paintbrush and put paint on a canvas. And people are like, oh, cool, look how cool it is. Yeah, it's neat. It's cool. My dog does cool things too. But it requires an intent to create an emotional reaction. That's art. That's what separates art from a product. When somebody puts a billboard up to sell you a product, that's not art just because they used paint. When somebody creates an ad in a magazine, or when somebody creates a video to sell you a car, that's not necessarily art just because it is in an artistic medium or a medium that is commonly used by artists. It requires intent to create an emotional reaction. In computer programs, animals, they can't have intent to do that. So right there, AI cannot produce art, period. So that's where we're starting from right there. It's not art. So A lot of tech bros are out there going to use a bunch of big words to make you feel bad and to gaslight you. And it's the same thing as tool. It's just a tool. It's just like Photoshop. It's just like predictive brushstrokes. It's just like, I've heard a million excuses for why these guys are so in love with their 2D girlfriend, that they have to defend it with their life. I get that you guys are using this sometimes to create your own product because you have no skill and you see this as a way to get rich, or you're a programmer for one of these, or you're trying to build one of these and you want to get rich off of it. But don't blow smoke up our asses and pretend that this is anything but something to produce images and, unfortunately, soon writing for a profit. That's all it is. You're not creating art. You're not a creator, period, because you didn't create anything. So they'll tell you, oh, you're stupid for believing that AI steals art. There's a simple question here. Ask any one of them, and I guarantee you, I've done it multiple times over the last few days. I've asked this same question, and they always dodge it. Does it take art from artists without their permission, compensation, or credit for the purposes of profit? That's the definition of theft, boys and girls. Ask them that question, and they will either avoid it, they'll dodge it, they'll lie about it, they'll try to move the goalpost, but ask them, does it take art from artists without their permission, consent, or credit for profit? The answer is yes, it does. It's not the same, though. It's the same as a human using art to be inspired. No. It's not. A human being has intent. A human being can create art. Artists understand that other artists are going to look at their art and be inspired by it. Nobody's complaining about that. They didn't sign up to have you take their art by the thousands and plug it into a computer program to create this monstrous thing that competes against them. Artists understand that other artists are going to be out there creating art to compete against them. That has been an understanding since the dawn of time. We all sign up for that. Writers, artists, musicians, we all sign up for that. We don't sign up for somebody to go out there and take all our stuff to train some computer to do it. You didn't ask. That's theft. They're also going to say, and I'm reading from some notes if you're watching my eyes, because I did write some notes down. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. And yeah, most of these apps are paid. I don't think any of these apps are completely free. Some of them you can use free, but if you want all the bells and whistles and special features, you got to pay money. And then they use that sometimes to sell. They do, and they're doing it. And that's when this has started to become a huge problem. And it's not the same. It's not a human being that's learning and growing and applying that to creative effort. It's not the same. It's a program solely for the purpose of profit. That's all it is. So don't compare it to human. They're going to compare it to human beings. It's not a human being. You cannot compare it to a human being. It's not the same thing. It's not the same as fan art. I keep seeing that too. How is it any different than fan art? Again, artists sign up knowing that other people are going to be inspired by the creations, inspired by their art. Fan art happens. Fan art also falls into a pretty sketchy place. And artists who do fan art have to be careful. You can't take a Spider-Man comic cover, for example, and paint that exact pose and image and background of the cover and sell it as your own. You can't do it. I mean, you could. If you get caught, you get in trouble. You can paint Spider-Man in your own image, in your own background, and sell it as fan art. Yeah, you can do that. You can't say you created Spider-Man. It's not the same as fan art. Quit using that as a damn excuse. They called me an elitist. I've been called that several times over the last few days. I'm an elitist because I think human beings are more important than computer programs. I actually had somebody say that I was a bigot and compared that statement to being racist to minorities because I think human beings are more important than computer programs. So these tech bros, these guys out there that are just, I've got bad words for what they are. These people out there so in love with their freaking AI programs are going to use a lot of crappy words, a lot of gaslighting, a lot of shit terminology to make you feel bad, even to the point of calling you a racist because you don't think a computer program's a person. It's ridiculous. So there's a lot going on, and this is where it has started to become a problem, because it has started to become, being used for product. So, but before I get into that, it's another excuse. My notes are a little bit out of order, but they keep saying also that it's a tool. It's like a camera. It's like Photoshop. A camera, Photoshop, what's some of the other excuses? GIMP. Any of those programs, those are tools. They require human creative effort. A photographer is the artist. A camera doesn't make everybody a photographer. I'm sorry, a camera is a tool. The camera does not do the work. The artist, the photographer, does the work of composing the photo, of getting the lighting right, of getting the subject in the frame, of getting everything exactly the way he wants it. He pushes a button. All the camera does is captures what the artist's intent was. The intent. Computer program can't have intent. A camera doesn't have intent. The artist has intent. The camera just captures it. And having a camera doesn't make you a photographer. Just like AI doesn't make you an artist. Photoshop doesn't really make you an artist either, though artists use Photoshop because I don't know why anybody else would. But Photoshop is also used by marketing companies and graphic designers and people who don't necessarily create art. Magazine ads for cars, not art. But they use Photoshop. Photoshop doesn't make you an artist, but artists use Photoshop. That's the difference. Intent. The intent behind it. That matters. If I go to somebody and tell them I want a chair built, and I say I want the chair this high, I want the back like this, I want the seat like that, I want it made out of this wood, and they build it for me, I'm not the freaking carpenter. A prompter, somebody who types words into an AI program, is not an artist. You're a prompter. At best, you made up cool words. Don't care. You're not an artist. I don't care how that makes you feel. I don't care if it makes you feel bad. Your feelings don't matter here. You're not an artist. You don't fit the definition. You don't fit the creative skill or the intent. You can't plug intent into an AI program. That's not how it works. You tell it what you want it to spit out, and it does it. That doesn't make you an artist. I'm not a sandwich maker because I go to Subway and I tell the guy how to build my sandwich. I didn't make the sandwich. It's not how it works. So the reason this has started to become such a problem, Ed, thank you for joining me. Yeah, I miss all the illustration. Animation was done by hand. Computer graphic animation still requires hours and hours and hours of effort. And sure, some of that might be automated. You know, one good use, this isn't all negative. Here's a good use for AI. Here's a great use for AI. And here's how it should be used. You create your own drawing. You create your model. You create all the images that go with it. You create everything that goes with it. And you plug it into a localized AI program that's not tied to anything else. And you say, take my model and start spitting out these different images of it. Your work, your effort, your intent. That's a good use for AI. Yeah, AI could be used to take the animation of video games. Once the art is created, once all the images are created, once all of the characters are created and designed and plugged into the system, and then say, all right, let's automate some of this stuff. Let's automate some of the animation. Let's automate. Yeah, because you're taking your own art. You're taking the work of a human being, and you're using that work just to automate more of that work. I don't see a problem with that because there's intent behind it. There's also permission behind it. The artist also said, yes, I want to do that. If an artist is creating a comic book and they draw all the characters and then they use AI to say, all right, I want this character in this scene doing X, Y, Z, do it for me, and it does it, why not? It has his permission. That's fine. That's a perfectly good use for AI. That's not how it's being used. I had a guy show me sorry, I need a drink. Getting a little parched. I had a guy on Facebook in a writing group that I'm in show his book cover. Everybody take a look at this. Really cool. This is the future. I used AI to create this book cover. And all I did was say, dude, this is not the thing to be on board with. And I just said, hey, these programs learn by stealing art. And you're a writer. You know what's coming next. AI writing. It's already there. People are already using that chat GPT to write letters. Anyway, I'll talk about that in a sec. So I said, that's not a good idea. You're digging your own grave. You are supporting something that's going to replace you. Why would you train your replacement? Well, this is the future, he says. He sends me a message. You should check out this AI comic. After I said this is not a good thing, you should check out this AI comic. It was created by this woman in 3 hours. It would have taken me months, he said. Like that's a good thing. She used something that steals other people's art to create a comic book, and he wanted me to read it. Hell no. No, that's not a good thing. It wasn't her art. If she had used her art in a closed-loop AI program to create a comic book, sure, fine. Awesome. More original art faster? I'm all for that. This isn't original art faster. It's not art. Period. It doesn't fit the definition. So yeah, ChatGPT is already, I've read a thing about this doctor, okay? This doctor's got to write a letter to an insurance company to get this procedure approved because it was denied for his patient. Good thing. Yeah, he's trying to get a procedure his patient needs approved by the insurance company. That's awesome. He used ChatGPT to write the letter. Now, I get it. It's time saving. But there's a little part of me that thinks, do I really want a doctor trusting my health care to an AI program? I mean, I'm sure he proofread the letter. I'm sure he did all that before he sent it out. Maybe he edited it. I don't know. I don't have a problem with that so much as it just feels weird, right? And the fact that you can't tell the difference sometimes, especially when it comes to writing. Art, you can tell the difference. Look at this image. There's a reason that image on the left has so many fingers. If you're not familiar with it, go look up the AI monstrosities with fingers. It doesn't know how to do hands. It gives them too damn many fingers. This also shows you artist intent, and this shows you emotional reaction. This is art. This right here is what art is. This is an artist's emotional reaction and intent to express that emotional reaction. That's art. AI is not art. It's not the same thing. So, and now where it's, again, being used in the marketplace, being used to compete against artists, being used to compete against human artists. I don't know if you guys are familiar. So the author, Chris, let me find his name because I'm going to say it wrong. Chris Paolini. So if you guys aren't familiar with Chris Paolini, he's the writer of Aragon in that series. He's got a book coming out from Tor called, what was it called? Fractal Noise. Somebody found out, and they didn't know until after. I think they knew. I don't buy Tor's response. But anyway, somebody pointed out, hey, why are you using AI art on the cover of this new book, Fractal Noise? So Tor comes out with this statement. Tor Books designed the cover for Fractal Noise by Christopher Paolini. During the process of creating this cover, we licensed an image from a reputable stockhouse. We were not aware that the image may have been created by AI. So there's two problems here. We'll talk about them. Our in-house designer used the licensed image to create the cover, which was presented to Christopher for approval. Due to production constraints, we have decided to go ahead with our current cover. Tor Publishing Group has championed creators in the sci-fi community, bullshit, since our founding and will continue to do so. You don't. You're not continuing to do so. You're literally contradicting your own statement here, but there's two problems. So they licensed the image from a stock image site, and it was an AI image. So that means they're already selling AI images on stock image sites. They're already competing with artists, with real artists, with actual artists, with human beings by selling these stock images on stock, or these AI images on stock sites, not art. And then they say, well, we can't change it now, production constraints. But we support the science fiction fantasy community. Horseshit. If you supported the science fiction and fantasy community and would continue to do so, you wouldn't have done this. You would have changed this the minute you knew about it, and I think you knew about it before somebody pointed out. I think you got caught, Tor Books, and then you decided to put this statement out after you got caught. And then Christopher went to Twitter, and he says, he posted a bunch of stuff. The problem is AI art's so advanced. AI art will become an integral part of many artists' processes, much like Photoshop. We talked about that. It's not the same thing. But then Christopher goes on and says, I think we'll be facing similar issues with AI fiction in the near future. Yeah, we will. We're not quite there, but we're getting real close. So Christopher pushing his own industry out by supporting this. And he said, oh, it's too late to change it. It's too late. I don't want to change the production schedule. It's too late to push it back. So Chris would rather make sure he gets his money on time than make sure an artist gets paid, a real artist gets paid for his cover. That's the problem with this. That's the elitism there. He's got his. He doesn't care about other artists. He's got his. He doesn't need to support anybody else. And then you've got this AI children's book. And this thing is ridiculous. It looks absolutely ridiculous, but it's called Alice and Sparkle on Amazon. It's getting panned. It's got a couple of high ratings, probably by people who just are, again, so in love with AI art. And it's by Amar Reshi. He even puts by Amar Reshi on the cover, but Amar didn't write it. He didn't illustrate it either. It was done by AI. The art looks horrible, but it's out there on the market. It's already out there. Thankfully, his description says it's AI, but I don't think that goes far enough. I think it needs to say on the cover that it's AI, and I think that Amazon and any other bookseller, any other media seller needs to have a special category that calls it out for the consumer right up front. This is AI. This is AI-produced product. It's AI-produced material. It is not art. It is not made by a human being. So it's already out there. So already the indie sphere, the indie market is already so saturated with books. Me being an indie author, I'm competing against thousands and thousands of other authors because it's gotten so easy to put books out. Now with AI, people can put books out in a matter of days. Like, there's going to be thousands and thousands more garbage books put out on Amazon every day now after this becomes something, if people see this as a viable option. And you may not know, because are they going to be honest and tell you? Are they going to tell you they used AI to make it? I think they should have to. I'm working on finding out how you petition the FTC to create these kinds of rules. There is a petition in the link below, or in the video description below, that will take you to, or there's a link that will take you to a petition about protecting human artists. I don't think it goes far enough. I think we need more. I think we need more pushback. I think we need consumer protection. I really do think that we need more people calling this out and educating consumers, especially. People are going to buy these books and art and not know. People who aren't, like, if you're not on Twitter, you may not have ever heard of this before. So we need more people calling this out and educating other people. Thankfully, currently AI products cannot be copywritten. So Amar's book on Amazon, anybody can take that book. Anybody can take that art and do whatever they want with it. It cannot be copywritten because it was AI produced. Thankfully, it was not produced by a human being. That is part of the criteria for copyright. It has to be, because that's part of the criteria for art. It has to be produced by a human being. I'm hoping that there's going to start seeing lawsuits. You know, it doesn't fit the definition of plagiarism, but if an artist can prove that an AI company took their art for profit, which harms the human artist financially, they may be able to get lawsuits through. And if enough people get together and do this, they might have a shot. So more artists that have had their work taken, I encourage you guys to reach out, get together and start talking to somebody who knows copyright law, who knows all of these things, and and see if there's any. It couldn't hurt. Worst they could do is say, no, you don't have a case, but you might have a case. And it needs to happen. People need to start doing it. I had somebody that's like, why now? Why do you care now? This has been going on for a long time. Yeah, AI has been around for a while now. People's art has been stolen for a while now. I hadn't heard about it until recently. Like, I'd heard about AI art, but I didn't realize how it was trained. I just recently started learning how this works. And recently we started seeing it entering the market, entering the book and art market as competition. And I'm an indie author. It's directly competing with me, a computer. That's not progress. Getting rid of people for something that's less valuable is not progress. Thankfully, small cons are starting to follow suit. I'm starting to see announcements from conventions that they're going to prevent AI art from being on Artist Alley. Thank you. Ask your conventions, the ones you go to, if you're a vendor at them, ask them to do the same. I've been sending it to all of the local cons that I go to. I've been talking to them. I'm going to send it to Origins. Hopefully Origins makes a similar statement soon. I'm not going to vend at a convention that allows computer-generated art to be sold as an artist. Not going to happen. It's not the same thing. Companies like ArtStation and DeviantArt for a while were just allowing these artists' work to be taken. Thankfully, they've offered an opt-out option to people, but it's already happened. It's too late. But the protests on ArtStation have been fantastic from the artists. So I don't know, like, that's it. I'm very passionate about this because I'm such a huge supporter of independent artists and writers. That's my bread and butter. That's what I do. I would be foolish not to support them. I would be foolish to support this. It's detrimental to me. It's detrimental to the artists that I know. It's detrimental to the artists and writers who are my friends. This is not a good thing. And anybody out there defending it like it's a good thing, you have to wonder why. Like, I don't understand why. Maybe they want to be able to profit off of it. Maybe they are jealous of artists who have the skill to do these things, so they're finding an easy way out. I don't know. I don't know why this is such a big thing for people, other than the people who are really into this maybe are the same people who think artists shouldn't be paid as much as they are, which they aren't paid that much. You guys think art costs a lot of money, but how many people are buying prints from artists, independent artists? Yeah, you got some big names out there making money, but not the little guys. And every time somebody goes for one of these AI generated images over a real artist, an actual artist, you're literally taking food out of their mouths. You're literally taking money away from them. For what? For a computer program? Like, they don't need to eat? And that's a good question. People think that computer programs should have rights. There's petitions out there to give rights to AI-generated images as if the AI is a person. They want to give them rights so that they can copyright their images so they can be protected. Why? That's got to be coming from corporations that want to be sure they can profit off of this stuff, because that's the one thing holding major corporations back, is the inability to copyright these images. But once they do have that ability, you're going to start seeing big companies just not hire people. Why would a publishing company, if they can get a chat program to write a book, why would a publishing company have a human being do it? You don't have to pay royalties to an AI, but if AI deserves human rights, don't you have to pay them? And if you don't pay them, didn't you just create a slave? Anyway, that's my rant. Hopefully you guys learned something. Check out the links in the description below for more information. Check out my Twitter feeds for more information. Ed and anybody else who was here, thank you so much. Be sure to share this. Please share it out there as much as you can. Put it on social media. Put it on all the platforms. If other people are talking about this, awesome. Let me know. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate that. And yeah, I will be back for more. We got another Battle at the Beer Advent Calendar today, and maybe a music stream. We'll see. Ed, everybody else, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. I will see you guys all again soon. You have a great one. Much love. Bye.